All right. So that value proposition was literally, this was the one slide that I wanted. So now that we kind of get that value proposition, we look on the other side and we think about our own beliefs and values. And our values, now when we think about our values as a brand, we think about what we stand for and what we stand against. If you don't know, if you're thinking to yourself, of the 48 people in this room, you're thinking to yourself, what are my values? Ask yourself those two questions one at a time. What does my brand stand for? And what does my brand stand against? And when you're able to write down a list of 3 to 5 things that your brand stands for or your brand stands against, then you have the beginnings of a strong value system. So, for example, Kavir's brand stands for environmental advocacy. Wanya's brand stands for healing from sexual trauma. My brand stands for pushing the industry, the fashion industry forward. I also stand against bullying. So when you think about the things that you stand for and the things that you stand against, then you start having the beginnings of conversations that you can have that calls your tribe. Because what you really want to do is build a tribe or a customer base that believes what you believe. Because you're going to have a much harder time converting someone's value system. It's going to be so much easier if you can simply find other people who share your value system to have that conversation with. And Bianca said, I found my tribe. And really, your tribe is going to be the people who stand for what you stand for and the people who stand against what you stand against. So what your brand becomes is a pillar of that belief system. It's a pillar of that value. And so we start creating conversation and content around our value system. All right, guys. So that's really wrapping up the approach to content that and the approach to conversations that we want to have in the social media space. So let me get from you now. Let me pause a little while and hear from you. What were some of the light bulbs that we talked about on Saturday that we realize, hey, I can apply this to my organization, or I've started working in this direction, and I want to share, or maybe I started something and maybe something isn't so clear. Share with us some of the light bulbs that you've had. I'll wait.
Good morning, Chris.
Morning.
Morning, everyone. Yeah, one of the light bulbs, one of the things that really stood out to me Saturday is the what you stand for in your brand, like the story behind your brand. Because Nawana and Kavir, right? Just hearing what they stand for in their brand, make me want to purchase one of their pieces. So Saturday after the class, I went and looked into their brands, and very, very interesting. Kavir brand stands, with the environment, as he said this morning, and he's very passionate about it. And just hearing about what he say, and seeing his pieces with the leaves and the little environmental messages on the vest and the t-shirts, it make you want to purchase it. And with Novara, what is her name?
It's pronounced
Hello?
Wanya. It's pronounced Wanya.
Wanya. Yes.
Yeah.
Wanya, with Wanya brand, just listening and hearing some of her stories and what she stands for. It even want to make a purchase as well. Now, with my brand, I have a story, but I don't think it's powerful enough. So maybe I have to sit down and go deeper into it. But one of the things I'm going to add to my brand, my mom died 2 years ago, right? And she taught me a lot of stuff, and I learned to sew from her as well. Even though I went to school and was advanced in it, but I learned a lot from my mom. So I said that I owe a collection to her. So my next collection will be devoted to my mom and all that she taught me. She used to make punch creme real nice and black cake and all those stuff. So all of that is going to be into the collection. And I think putting that storyline into the collection will make it more, valuable and make people want to know, get a piece of my mom from her son. So I totally understand putting a storyline to your brand, right? So that is something I'm gonna dig deep in with the whole brand. Well, that is just for the collection with my mom, but with the brand on the whole, well, it started as I was a young person. I went to school and I went this it had many stories. I went this school party and I didn't have a hoodie and everybody had a hoodie and I stretched my jersey. It's a long story, but so I'm going to add all these things and sit down and see if I could come with something very strong to say why I started my brand, you know. I love fashion too at the same time from small, so I really going to put that as something I really took away Saturday. And the next thing that I wanted to know too, that I was a little confused with, not really confused, but I trying to figure it out on IG where you say the content calendar. You say that is very important. But is there I didn't know if it had mentioned that, but is there a program to help you with um towards your content calendar on IG and Facebook to know the times and the times that the people watch the posts and those kind of stuff?
Yeah. You can use now. I neglected to share with you guys the content spreadsheet, which I will send to you after this class. So you can use that to plan your content calendars. I also want to point out, and I love being able to big up local practitioners who are doing well. I also want to point out a book by Jamila Bannister called The Brand Print. I Jamila Bannister is she's talking about personal branding online, but if you get her book, she has a content calendar template. So you could probably reach out to Jamila on LinkedIn or on Instagram and ask her for her content calendar template. That is something that is quite
Okay.
valuable as well. And right now, also up on the screen, you're seeing three logos: Hootsuite, Buffer, and
Mm-hmm.
Sprout Social. I encourage you to check out. Hootsuite is very easy to use, and so is Buffer. Sprout is a little bit more advanced. Um, those tools can help you manage your entire online presence, Instagram, Facebook, your entire social presence, rather, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, etc., and post to the different channels at different scheduled times. So to answer your question directly, these tools would be able to help you. Also, I want to
Yes, and you
say,
did mention this Saturday. Yes, you did mention this. Yes.
Kieran, my condolences on your mom's passing. I think that is a beautiful brand story. What I would like to hear is that you push that brand story into, some a bit of why. Like your mom, for example, you said she was a she was very big on creating, making food and pastel. They said puncha creme and black cake and those types of things.
Punch up
And
and black cake. Yeah.
maybe there's a question as to why was she why was that a big deal for her? Is it that she really really loved Christmas? Is that an indication of when the campaign should be launched, or is it that she really really cared about her family and she was a really strong family person and saw herself as a pillar of the family, and maybe therein lies a bit more depth to the brand story, or the story of this particular line or collection or campaign, where we talk about your mom, but we also talk about her belief system, so that we as a consumer could feel like, eventually you could get to a point where Christmas time is about parang, pastel, and this
Mm-hmm.
Kiran cake collection, because it
Right, right.
symbolizes, a time of year, a specific trininess, a specific love for family, a specific love for moms, and all of those things could come out of your communication to really add some power to the story and to the types of content that you create. So it's not just about maybe pictures of your mom or just about pictures of the clothes, or just, you could go very, very deep into the culture of Trinidadian Christmas, the culture of Christmas at families. And I just saying Christmas because the food items you talked about were Christmas related things. And it's a nice time to launch a collection because, of course, the market is stimulated at Christmas time. People are spending. Um, so there is some more depth you could think about to get that campaign to be even more meaningful.
Yes, thanks a lot, Chris.
Thanks
Yes,
for
I think you went in a lot in depth a lot there. I marked down everything, and yeah, I'm gonna work on it. Yeah, so thanks a lot, man. I appreciate that.
very nice. I
Yeah,
read in Patrina.
yeah.
Patrina saying I came up with the value of teaching boys and young men how to treat women. Patrina, I want to share with you a story, a genuine story of this brand Brim Film. Now, my clothing store is called Shujin Clothing, and my brother and I started it. My brother's the managing director of Shujin, and from Shujin, he recognized, now it's a menswear clothing store. He recognized that there was a space to create a brand um, for men to own, for men to feel like they own a brand, local Trinidadian men. And so he created this brand called Brim Film, which was an acronym for By Real Intelligent Men for Intelligent Real Men. Kind of long-winded, but it worked. And for that Brim Film brand, he launched a bunch of hats, caps with different designs. So hence the term Brim Film, it was a play on words. And he came to me and said, "Well, Chris, we're launching this brand of hats for men. Um, let's discuss the brand." And around the same time, he and I and some of our friends were starting up a relationship with this home for boys called Rainbow Rescue Home for Boys in Maraval, where it was like a light mentorship relationship. Um, where the focus was really about sort of providing a big brotherhood to these guys. We wanted to be able to provide a network because we knew that a lot of our success in our own careers simply came from being able to put the right person as a reference on our resume, or being able to call up somebody and ask them to talk about what should I do to prepare for an interview, or asking someone what is a good program for me to do my degree in, or just generally being able to have a friend or a mentor who would support your general needs. So we said at the end of it all, let's go make friends with these guys, these teenage boys who really are at the mercy of the system. Let's add them on Facebook and let's be available to them so that they can be helped. And the reason we wanted to help them is because, and I've said this a few times, one of the biggest issues of our society in Trinidad right now is that we don't socialize men effectively, which is why there's so many rapes, there's so many murders, there's so much inequality to do with women. We don't socialize boys in a way that is positive. We socialize boys in a very toxic way in Trinidad. And so we wanted to contribute to the effective, positive socialization of these boys. And so we attached that entire story, that entire purpose to the Brim Film brand. So now the Brim Film brand became the brand that went to help these boys. And through that, we talked to the boys, we found out what they were interested in. We realized a lot of them were interested in creative careers. So we got some of our DJ friends, some of our performer friends, some of our soca artist friends to come to the home to talk to the boys about what pathways they can take to engender a creative career. And so we started to put on events to help the boys just socialize and just have good friendships to move forward with. And so that became the core of the communications associated with the Brim Film brand. And then after that, we were able to extend the Brim Film brand from hats to fuel shakers, and it became a brand that people can and began to wear to the gym. Brim Film t-shirts, Brim Film hats, Brim Film fuel shakers that they could use at the gym, because of course it pointed to another aspect of what men needed, which was a healthy lifestyle. and those types of things. So that's how product innovation and product communication sort of evolved out of that Brim Film brand. So I just wanted to give that little anecdote because I feel like that I share that belief system, Patrina. And so I just wanted to share that as well about how we had that belief system pushed out. Um, yeah, so Brim Film right now, everything as with everybody else, we're now in that space where we're trying to recreate the online platforms and recreate the distribution channels. But Brim Film is on Instagram, and so is Shujin Clothing. They're both on Instagram. So many of you followed me, my personal page on Instagram, Chris Granger _Shujin, but you can check out Brim Film at Brim Film on Instagram, BRIMFIRM, or Shujin Clothing. Brim Film is distributed through Shujin. It's also distributed in Hideout Clothing. It's also distributed in what's the name of this store in Long Circle? I'm all Body Glow. So because it's quite a lot of gym apparel, so you can see how we've distributed through there. So that's we're talking about the perpetuation of our value proposition based on our value system and based on what our customers needs are, what our consumers needs are. Does anybody else have a light bulb or something that they wanted to share?
Hi. Hi.
Yeah.
Good morning.
Morning.
Morning. Hi, this is Bianca. Good morning,
Hey, Bia.
everyone. Yes, my brand is Suru Designs. Okay, so I had a light bulb moment, a real light bulb moment. No, firstly, yesterday I worked on this from 10 in the morning till 5:30. I was on my laptop.
Somebody
So,
was inspired.
I am very tired but satisfied. And what happened, right? What I decided to do, I went through everything. I used the slides and stuff. And I decided to just write what I'm doing. You just write whatever comes to the top of your head, just start to write, fill up a page. And I started to realize that I already know, without knowing, so to speak, what or what my brand was saying. And if I'm subjected to be corrected, right? But I may have a lifestyle brand. I realize I have a lifestyle brand, and I certainly started popping out non-conformist individuality, and I started realizing, hey, this is a free spirit type of thing. This is the brand. So
Yeah.
it was like a aha moment for me. It's something I've been doing all the time, and I did not realize what it was. And when I think about my customers, knowing my customers, they are people like that. They are free-spirited people. They don't really conform. They're very independent. They do their own thing. And they are the ones that are attracted to what I do. And so it was, as I said, that was my light bulb. I started research. I opened a LinkedIn account. And normally I don't really interact. I go on social media, but I am now putting myself out there, meaning that trying to interact with people more, not just browsing through stuff and having nothing to say. I already joined Hootsuite. I mean, yesterday was whole day. It was whole day. And the what I need now is to my content and brand strategy. How am I going to go into this? How am I going to get these people to see me and to come to me? Yes, they are there, but how am I going to attract those who are free spirited and those who want to be? Because one of the things I also learned is that it's not only what your customer already is. Your customers are not what they already are, but what they want to become. Because there are
What
people who
inspired me. Yeah.
right. So there are
Yeah.
people who are out there who free spirited, but they want to be free spirited. They already have that, which you know what I'm saying, Chris. So it's like, as I say, I am tired but happy. I have about 2 or 3 pages written with stuff. There's just all over, and that was my light bulb, and I really appreciated this, and it really, really helped me. And all I need now is to continue on to figure out strategies and content. And I know it's going to take a lot of time and it will be a lot of work. So that was my aha and my light bulb moment.
I really, really love hearing that. I feel like your appreciation, you spending time appreciating your content, sorry, your consumer, to the point where you were able to say, all right, my customer is the free spirited person. So now you have a general description of the consumer. And I'm going to ask you now to go further into defining that free spirited person. Find out what is their need, what do they really need, what do they want to feel, what are the positive trends in their life, what are the headaches about free spiritedness. I mean, free, I love to say, I've been saying recently that I'm an extrovert, so it's been very difficult for me to not go to parties or not go to different things. And I myself am a free spirited person, so I have some headaches about the fact that I feel quite restricted right now. What are some of the fears of your free spirited consumer? What are some of the opportunities available? And so now you can produce content that just genuinely connects with them. Sometimes something that I love to talk about in lifestyle brands is a slice of life. What does a slice of life look like for the ideal customer or for the customer's aspiration um, in your content? And that would be that slice of life tactic would be a very, very strong tactic for a brand like yours, because you would be able to say, all right, well, life might look like for a free spirited person being at the top of a mountain looking, and this is a really kind of weak example, but being at the top of a mountain looking over an extremely beautiful view with someone you love or not, because you've just wandered into the space that you found yourself in. And of course, I'm wearing your brand. That's what a slice of life. So I begin to feel what it feels like to be that person that I'm aspiring to be. And of course, a symbol of that aspiration, a symbol of that free spiritedness is your brand. And that's really, at the end of the day, that's what you'll hear me repeating that over and over, that your brand becomes a symbol of that value system. It becomes a symbol of that need that the customer is trying to achieve. So I think that's absolutely fantastic that you got to the place. And on the topic of planning, I know that you would have spent a considerable amount of time yesterday doing some brand planning. Now I'm suggesting once a month, sit with a content calendar structure and identify, start from saying, I want to do 4 posts a month, or 4 posts a week, or 6 posts a month, or 8 posts a month. And then in that time, sit and identify, how do I represent this value system? And how do I meet my customers' needs through 8 pieces of content over the next month? And you sit down, you plan that content. It might take you a day to do. You plan that content, you create that content, you schedule that content, and you put it out. And when you put it out, the meaningfulness of the content will show. And of course, though you're not doing it because Chris said to do it, you're doing it because you expect it to perform. So over that month, observe how people are reacting to it, how people are responding to it, and optimize over the next month. See what content worked and what didn't work, because it's not, Rome wasn't built in a day, and your entire social media structure isn't going to transform. You're not going to go from getting 50 likes a post to getting 500 likes a post from 1 month of switch of making your content more strategic. But over a time, maybe 4 months to 6 months, you begin to see major changes in your reactions to your content, and how that content moves you into sale just by optimizing the content, looking to see, what do people react to positively? Who is reacting? Is this really my target group that I'm going for? Those types of things. So you have to keep learning, and you have to keep planning and keep putting it out there. Who is next?
This is Lisselle speaking.
Yeah, you're speaking really soft. I don't know if you need to just move in closer to your mic or turn up
So
the mic's
I
volume.
actually have it. Hi, you hearing me better now?
Much.
All right, great. Good morning,
Who is
everyone.
it?
Listen, from Fellas Designs.
Okay, hi. Hey again.
Okay. Listening to Bianca just now and Kieran and everybody else, it actually just popped off in my head that what I was aspiring to do for women, because I do swimsuits, as I said before. And when I first started, I targeted plus size women because most women, most plus size women cannot go into a store and just pick a swimsuit off the rack. They're forever having to adjust the bottom or having to adjust the top. I wanted to fill that gap where they would they would literally just have to put it on and they are comfortable, as well as make them feel just like any slim chick would, sexy, adorable, feel admired when they walk on the beach. But listening to everybody else, that was just me at the time. I just wanted, in my mind, I'm just saying, listen, I need to help some of these women feel better about themselves because the the norm doesn't make them feel accepted. And I got into that because of my daughter. She's plus size. She's 19. She's plus size. She still hates to wear a bathsuit, but I will get her to wear one once it's with her tights. And by her doing that, it helped me get into that niche. And listening to them, I get to realize, wait, but that is where I belong. And as well as I could always push forward more on that. Even though most of my clients are plus size women, big busted women, I but this the only thing I don't have is their consent to post their photos on my timeline because they're still shy, but they would send me the photos to tell me, Lizelle, I am so pleased with this. I am comfortable with it. I feel a lot more comfortable, more confident. I feel sexy. I get all the compliments and everything in my inbox, but sometimes I post it with their permission. I don't post anything without anybody's permission, but it just feels so good to know that I actually found, and just light bulb moment went off 2 minutes ago, that that is where I'm already in it. I don't have to search any much further. As well as I went up on TikTok on Sunday evening and I actually found quite a lot of swimsuit designers internationally who are on TikTok doing videos and showcasing how it's made. Most of them are modeling it themselves and whatever. But it just goes to show that really and truly, once you broaden your mind space, you can fit in anywhere and make it work for you. Basically, that's what I wanted to say.
It sounds like one of your value systems is, or one of your values is confidence, providing confidence. You're in the business of giving
Correct.
confidence to women who aren't normally getting that sort of confident feeling from other designers and other brands. So
That's
that
correct.
that is a really nice conversation to get into. And sometimes it may not always be just about showcasing the swimsuit. It could be, you could find many ways of showcasing and discussing confidence. And even if you're talking about empowerment, that's which is such a big conversation. Even if
Yes.
you were to engage maybe a motivational speaker or quotes on confidence, or videos on confidence or testimonials from
Well, I
women, not
actually
not
do that as well, but I didn't realize it would have been relevant to this as well. But I do that a lot, quite a lot for the
yeah,
past 5 years.
very nice. So that speaks to confidence. Now, on the point that Bianca was making a short while ago is, and to your point as well, we know, a lot of us know intuitively and instinctively what our brand is, but it makes such a huge difference when we sit down and write it, when it's articulated. So you actually
Yes.
get words to describe it, and that allows, when you're able to describe it clearly, it allows your consumer to be able to describe it clearly. So it moves from being a brand that they kind of like because they're not really sure, this stuff is nice, to being a brand that they love because it represents what they believe in, and you've been able to articulate that to them. They're not going to articulate it for you. You have to
Yes.
tell them what your brand is.
I understand. Thank
Yeah,
you.
great. Let's get one more, and then we'll take a short break because, of course, we need to be able to take a minute to assimilate the information that is passing through and maximize the most of this time that we have here. So we take a short 5-minute break after we get one more light bulb from someone. Who is next?
This is Lisselle speaking.
Yeah, you're speaking really soft. I don't know if you need to just move in closer to your mic or turn up the mic's
I
volume.
actually have it. Are you hearing me better now?
Much.
All right, great. Good morning, everyone.
Perfect.
Listen, from Fellas Designs.
Okay, hi. Hey again.
Okay. Listening to Bianca just now and Kieran and everybody else, it actually just popped off in my head that what I was aspiring to do for women, because I do swimsuits, as I said before. And when I first started, I targeted plus size women because most women, most plus size women cannot go into a store and just pick a swimsuit off the rack. They're forever having to adjust the bottom or having to adjust the top. I wanted to fill that gap where they would they would literally just have to put it on and they're comfortable, as well as make them feel just like any slim chick would, sexy, adorable, feel admired when they walk on the beach. But listening to everybody else, that was just me at the time. I was just wanting, in my mind, I'm just saying, listen, I need to help some of these women feel better about themselves, because the the norm doesn't make them feel accepted. And I got into that because of my daughter. She's plus size. She's 19. She's plus size. She still hates to wear a bath suit, but I will get her to wear one once it's with her tights. And by her doing that, it helped me get into that niche. And listening to them, I get to realize, wait, but that is where I belong. And as well as I could always push forward more on that. Even though most of my clients are plus size women, big busted women, I but this the only thing I don't have is their consent to post their photos on my timeline, because they're still shy, but they would send me the photos to tell me, Lizelle, I am so pleased with this. I am comfortable with it. I feel a lot more comfortable, more confident. I feel sexy. I get all the compliments and everything in my inbox, but sometimes I post it with their permission. I don't post anything without anybody's permission, but it just feels so good to know that I actually found, and just light bulb moment went off 2 minutes ago, that that is where I'm already in it. I don't have to search any much further. As well as I went up on TikTok on Sunday evening, and I actually found quite a lot of swimsuit designers internationally who are on TikTok doing videos and showcasing how it's made. Most of them are modeling it themselves and whatever. But it just goes to show that really and truly, once you broaden your mind space, you can fit in anywhere and make it work for you. Basically, that's what I wanted to say.
It sounds like one of your value systems is, or one of your values is confidence, providing confidence. You're in the business of giving
Correct.
confidence to women who aren't normally getting that sort of confident feeling from other designers and other brands. So
That's
that
correct.
that is a really nice conversation to get into. And sometimes it may not always be just about showcasing the swimsuit. It could be, you could find many ways of showcasing and discussing confidence. And as even if you're talking about empowerment, that's which is such a big conversation. Even if
Yes.
you were to engage maybe a motivational speaker or quotes on confidence, or videos on confidence, or testimonials from
Well, I
women,
actually
not
do that as well, but I didn't realize it would have been relevant to this as well. But I do that a lot, quite a lot for the
yeah.
past 5 years.
Very nice. So that speaks to confidence. Now, on the point that Bianca was making a short while ago is, and to your point as well, we know, a lot of us know intuitively and instinctively what our brand is, but it makes such a huge difference when we sit down and write it, when it's articulated, so you actually
Yes.
get words to describe it, and that allows, when you're able to describe it clearly, it allows your consumer to be able to describe it clearly. So it moves from being a brand that they kind of like because they're not really sure, this stuff is nice, to being a brand that they love because it represents represents what they believe in, and you've been able to articulate that to them. They're not going to articulate it for you. You have to
Yes,
tell them what your brand is.
I understand. Thank
Yeah,
you.
great. Let's get one more, and then we'll take a short break because, of course, we need to be able to take a minute to assimilate the information that is passing through and maximize the most of this time that we have here. So we take a short 5-minute break after we get one more light bulb from someone. No more light bulbs? Or you're making me pull out the Jeopardy because you know.
Chris, I wanted to just comment on the value proposition where, like usually when people do business model canvas, they would have value propositions and they would say great customer service, one-on-one, bespoke, stuff like that. But then you related it to the story that we're telling. And I find that to be more meaningful because that would definitely be part of your value proposition, like what your story is and what is it specifically to your brand. So that means you could target your audience and like get influential Anna to be very specific when you add like that kind of element to your business model. To your value proposition.
Yeah, a lot of times people think your value proposition is your list of products or your list of services or those types of things, but you have to appreciate that your value proposition is, in fact, how your customers perceive your value. That's at the end of the day, that's where value proposition lies. It lies in the behold, in the eye of the customer. And for you to appreciate that your customer values your brand in this way, it means you have to understand the customer and you have to understand what the customer is seeing in your brand that they're buying. Because I could buy a t-shirt from anybody, but I would buy a t-shirt from brand X most of the time because it represents something. And many times, fashion has been used a lot to represent a particular type of affluent lifestyle. People love like Balmain, Gucci, um, Versace. A lot of these brands represent affluent lifestyles. That's very much a mainstay in fashion branding. But it's not the only approach to fashion branding. You can sell a product that means more than affluent lifestyle. You can sell a product that represents something. In this moment, I'm wearing a Kubla Singh t-shirt. And I'm wearing a Kubla Singh t-shirt because not because I specifically um, have any affinity to Wayne Kubla Singh himself, but because I appreciate that people in Trinidad and Tobago can stand for something, can sit outside a prime minister's house and protest for something they believe in. And I support anybody who advocates for something that they believe in and pushes themselves um, forward to say, listen, I stand for this. And so I stand for that. And so I'm wearing Kubla Singh fashion. If you get what I'm saying, So that's really that we have to recognize why people wear clothes on their back and what our brand is enabling them to represent, because that's what brands do for people. Brands allow people to represent something. All right, so it's now 10:35. So let's take a short a 10-minute. Who's
I
this?
have one, Kimberly, I have one question pertaining to what you was just speaking about.
Yeah,
Like how you say like, okay, when we do a collection, right? We will have a
yeah.
story and a storyline behind the collection.
Hmm.
But when it goes on the rack, the story kind of no longer exists. Well, that's from my experience because now it's like you're trying to sell individual pieces and not like a story. Like the customer doesn't really read the story, they just see an individual piece. So can you tell us, like, in terms of that, how do you solve that issue? Because normally, like in a store, when they do a campaign, they will then have the setup where the campaign is in a storyline. Versus with us, like when we go, let's say we go to our upmarket or something like that, we don't have that facility or space to set up that kind of thing to carry the story on off the runway.
Yeah, I get you. By the time a consumer finds himself or herself at an upmarket, the hope is that your social media content would have reached them before that. That's the hope. I mean, in some cases, you're now introducing the brand. So on a creative level, you have to find ways to keep that story going. I really wouldn't like to believe that once you've launched the collection that the story disappears. The story finds itself in your social media content, that value system, and that's where the creative comes in. You have to think of multiple posts, multiple social media posts over a particular time period, whether it's a month or 3 months or whatever, over a particular time period that speaks to that story, that speaks to your value system. Because yes, the story is one thing, but the story is always rooted within a value system. And your social media channel really needs to be a strong place where people get to understand your story. So we over here in um, the funnel, and so sometimes the first time people are become aware of your brand might be at upmarket or it might be on a social media post. And you have to be able to create content that stimulates that awareness. And then you have to be able to create content consistently that stimulates the perpetuation of that story that facilitates brand knowledge. So you always have to recognize that the customer, every single customer, will go through the phases of being aware, be considering the brand, and converting. So you can't allow the story to drop ever, because the story is the part of your brand that generates value. Because a swimsuit is a swimsuit is a swimsuit unless it means something. So in the case of Oatly, I gave the example of Oatly. They have their entire brand story on their on the box, on the side of the box, right there. I bought a T-shirt in Sweden some time ago. I can't remember the name of the brand, and I actually gave away the T-shirt because it's too small for me. But the T-shirt it was like 250 TT dollars, which was a pretty high price for what I normally pay for T-shirts. But right on the tag, stitched into the back inside of every single T-shirt, had um, this T-shirt was made through sustainable farming or something like that, where the cotton was picked in a particular farm, no child labor was employed, no everybody who worked on this T-shirt was paid fairly for the work that they've done according to international payment standards. And so I understood that the price of the T-shirt was high because I was contributing to a system that was fair trade, that was paying people fairly, as opposed to many other brands that buy bulk T-shirts from suppliers who enslave people pretty much as compared to our standards, and employ child labor to be able to get this T-shirt to be that cheap. I'm prepared as a consumer to pay a little more because I'm able to read on the tag this particular story. So there are creative ways to keep your story alive. And now understand, if they didn't put that tag stitched into the T-shirt, I would not have known the story, and I would not have understood why that T-shirt was priced at $250. As a matter of fact, I bought three. I gave my friend one. I gave away all because I bought three to give a friend. I bought two for myself, and then the two I ended up growing out of it a little bit upon some size, and I gave away the T-shirt. But when I gave it away, I made sure, and I told my friends the story. I said, listen, this T-shirt is special. It was expensive, and here's why. So treat it well, because I ascribed a certain type of value, and that appealed to my value system as well as a consumer, because I'm a conscious consumer. So I decided to pay for that. Now, somebody else who's less conscious wouldn't see the value of that, That's not your customer. You want to find the customer who cares about what you care about. So there is real importance in keeping that story alive. And how you keep that story alive is in your creative approach. Let me get to these. I've seen messages coming through. Enjoy life. That reminds me of Carnival. Even though people buy a costume, there is sometimes a disconnect of the story. The fete and the line overshadows the story. So the story is always really important. True enjoy, but it could be the customer as well, in that people who participate in Minsha, McFarlane, K2K, etc., they know the story behind what they are portraying. So maybe where the fete and the lime overshadows just means that those customers, the fete and the lime is what it's about for them, not the story. And that's the fact that I agree with that completely, because K2K and Minshall, I love K2K. I modeled for them a couple times. I haven't played mass for them, but I will play mass for K2K because what they represent for me is a great degree of art and carnival, and I also really appreciate the youthfulness and the modern take of art. But not everybody cares about that, so they have to find the consumer group who cares about what they care about and deliver and engender a relationship with that group of people and keep the story alive. Right, so we can take a short break now. I don't want to get too far before 11. We take a short break and we come back and go straight until 12. I guess price point as well. In some cases, some people do love it, but not everyone is willing to pay for it, or not everyone can pay for it. So you also have to appreciate as well that if you are looking to have a premium price point, you have to target the type of consumer who can afford a premium price point. All right, so it's now 10:43. We will come back at just about 10:50 to 10:53. Just about 10:50, we should be back and getting back started. I want to hear more from you guys. So think about what I mean. I know some people are better to speak than other people, but I've been hearing from, just about the same 5 or 6 people over again. Not that I don't want to hear from you, because I definitely want to give everybody the help that they want to get. But there are 50 other people in this room. You guys, if you have any light bulbs, if you have any thoughts, if you have any questions, let's hear from you. Let's talk about it, because when I hear from you, other people can get inspired by you. Your anecdotes and your testimonials and your light bulbs will help other people in the room. And that's something that, I really believe makes a huge difference in these types of classroom settings. So I'll see you guys back at just about 10:50 to 10:53 after we take a short break, and we'll dive back in.